Reed, I'm just glad you came here to tell everybody, you know, what the Grammy Foundation does, what the all the stuff, the work that the Grammy does to help our musicians. We've invited him to come up tonight and speak. So would you all welcome Reed Wick?
This is the Grammy program, the actual program that our members get if they, that's one of the other benefits of membership, is that only our members are invited to go to the Grammys. The Grammys are not open to the public. So only members get the opportunity to purchase tickets. And they do have the cheap seats of like $150. They have the expensive seats that are like $1,000. So I get that question a lot. People are like, I'll never be able to afford to go. It's like, well, it's really not that, that expensive. But you do have to get yourself out to LA. Or wherever it is, because it's probably going to be back in New York in a couple of years. But essentially, this is the program that everybody who attends the Grammys gets. Also locally, what we do in our different chapter cities around the country is that we host what we call Grammy viewing parties. So for our members who don't go out to LA and participate in the Grammys in person, what we'll do is we'll host like a party where our members locally can come together and watch the Grammys together. And it just adds, it's a cool networking event. It's an opportunity for the local members to get to know who each other are and stuff like that. And I know Peter's come with his students from time to time from Delgado and things like that. So it's a really cool event. And we also give these out to our members who come. And then I normally get a few boxes sent to me so I can hand out to people who, as a recruiting kind of tool and stuff. I do have these membership brochures. I thought I had a whole box of them, but when I opened it up, it was an extra box of these. So I apologize for not having those. But one of the things I did bring was our advocacy newsletter. And one of my catchphrases about what the organization does is that we're way more than a TV show. Most people just know us for the 3.5 hours that is on CBS, which is the awards show. But one of the most important things that we do, and we often partner with the union on this, is we have a really strong presence in Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., where we're constantly advocating for laws and policy that is positive for musicians and songwriters and creators of art. So I really encourage you to pick one of these little guys up and read some of the things that we do, because it really makes a difference. These are the kind of things that don't make the headlines like Beyonce or Whitney Houston or whatever, but this is the kind of stuff that affects everybody in the industry, whether you're a member of the Academy or not. Recently we partnered together. What was the FAA, the guidelines on taking your instruments on the plane? Right. The AFM and the Recording Academy were partners on making that happen. But we also work in local municipalities as well as in state legislatures around the country working on positive legislation for the music industry. In fact, myself and a number of our members were part of a lobbying effort just last month where Louisiana has had a sound recording tax incentive for people who make records in Louisiana since 2005. In its current state, up until the governor signed it 2 days ago, in that current state prior to that, you had to spend a minimum of $15,000 to be able to qualify for a 25% rebate on getting your CDs made recorded in Houston, Louisiana. Not that many people took advantage of it. Hopefully more people will, because it's part of an educational process. But that law was due to sunset on January 1st of 2015. So through a lobbying effort that the Academy sponsored, we were able to get that law that end date pushed back to January 1st of 2020. We were also able to lower the spending threshold for Louisiana residents from $15,000 per project to $5,000 per project. So that is really going to make a big difference, because a lot of local musicians probably don't spend 15 grand making a local CD, but they probably would come close to spending 5 grand. And the goal there, hopefully, is to be able to put more business into our local studios. And because we're the Recording Academy, that's important to us. Sound quality, making good quality records. I mean, the Grammys are all about celebrating artistic achievement in sound. And so of course, we would advocate for people spending the time to go into a studio, make a really good record, enter it into the Grammys, participate in the voting process, and hopefully come away with some Grammy nominees and Grammy wins, which we've had several of over the last bunch of years. So just to let you know, we have about 320 voting members across Louisiana. We have about 115 that are, no, not that many, I'm sorry. We probably have about 80 that are associate members and about 60 or 70 that are Grammy U, we call it Grammy University Network. We have about 60 that are members of that membership. So, does anybody have any questions?
Can we apply for membership online?
You can apply online. I also brought some applications with me, and I'll leave my business cards if anybody, because I can also take your application info over the phone, and when I'm in my office, I can directly input it into the database. But I did bring an application. Since I didn't have my brochures, I went ahead and printed out some, so these aren't the fancy ones. But you can go to Grammy365, and there's a membership application online there, and it outlines all the different aspects of membership, and it also has almost up-to-date benefit information. A lot of benefits are like year-round, but a lot of times our members will get an email saying, you know, this software company is offering for the next 30 days 30% discount on Waves, you know, which is like one of the plugins for Postgres and things like that. So, you know, that some things are just as they come up, especially with like the music conferences and the music festivals. Like we offer a big discount for South by Southwest. We also throw like a big Grammy block party at South by Southwest where like 800 of our members come. The NAMM conference is a huge one for our members. They love going to that, and they give us like $25 entry fee for NAMM. NAMM is the Music Merchandisers Association, so that's where a lot of people go and get endorsement for drumsticks and guitar picks and saxophones and keyboards and all that other kind of stuff. So that's, you know, that's a cool discount. For a lot of people, that's a good reason why they join. Of course, membership also supports the efforts of Music Cares that I mentioned earlier, but also our other sister foundation is the Grammy Foundation, which does archiving and preservation grants and stuff. In fact, after Katrina, the Grammy Foundation gave out $250,000 worth of preservation and archiving grants to 16 different agencies here in the New Orleans area. In fact, I have a documentary crew coming in to do a documentary in WWOZ on Sunday. They're coming next Sunday. They're going to spend 3 days doing like a little documentary on a couple of grant recipients, and this one's on Wisdom. So,
one other thing.
Yeah.
What do you want for proof of the recordings that you have?
well, ultimately, the copy of the CD that has your name listed on the liner notes.
The actual CD or like?
But I can get a photocopy of that or a scan, you know, because what happens is that in our database, I usually just scan, like if I have CDs, I just scan them and put a PDF in there, and then there's only 2 people in the company that can approve new voting members, because job number 1 for us and for me is to protect the integrity of the voting process. So we have to really scrutinize everybody that comes through the door as applying for voting membership. So what I do is just put PDF scans of the CD covers that have your liner notes, your name listed in the liner notes.
Some of that stuff I can get like off the internet is on a physical CD anymore.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, I got the house, you know?
That's, you know, I could talk all day about this, but Sarah and I were just talking before we started the meeting. One of the projects that we're involved with is called, well, right now it's called Give Fans the Credit. And one of our wings of member services is the Producers and Engineers wing. And what we're focused on is, you know, one of the ways that musicians and producers and engineers and songwriters gets paid is by what it says on the back of the CD, that you wrote this song or you played on this song. When you don't have that in a digital download format, how do you prove that that's you that played on this, right? So how do you go to somebody, to ASCAP or Sound Exchange, and say, that's me playing on this, I want the money?
Yeah.
Unless you have that, you can't do it. So one of the big things that we're working on, and we're working in a partnership with digitalmusic.org, which is a division of NAMM. We're working with this organization called DDEX and the Consumer Electronics Association, and we're working to create a standardized form that mastering engineers can put all of the information in, and then when it gets to iTunes and Spotify and all those other places, they'll be able to display that in an accurate way. That way it's uniform across all platforms, and it'll become the new liner notes. That's our goal. So one of the annual events that the Advocacy Office does is this event called Grammys on the Hill, which happens in April. And during that event, Rhapsody announced that they will be the first of the distributors to actually sign on. And once we get it in place, they will be the first one that made a commitment to actually start putting that out there. So it's really important. And those are the kind of things that, like I said, they aren't going to make the headlines, but they affect every single person who's in the music. As Sarah and I were saying, it's only going to be, once the system's in place, it's only going to be as good as the person that's actually inputting the information. So it's really incumbent upon everybody who's a part of the creative process to proofread all that stuff. Make sure you take credit for everything that, if you worked on an album, make sure you take credit for every single thing you did on that record. Because in the long run, that's how you get paid. That's how you prove that it's you that did it. Because you may not think it matters today, but say Joe Blow Movie comes by and wants to use that song for the opening credits, that's when the big dollars are going to flow, and that's when if you can't prove that that's you that did it, you're not going to get that money. I know many people that have been in that situation. I know many people who have had that credits in place and they got paid. But I know plenty who didn't have it in place and didn't get paid. So I just implore everyone who's involved in any recording project, make sure you're credited properly for everything that you do. It pays off in the long run. All right.
You say an office here?
Well, I'm a virtual employee. So my office is my back bedroom in my house. But I'll be happy to give you my card. I mean, my office is wherever I am, so it's my iPhone over there. So. What you got?
I have a question. Back and get musicians what they would do for the work that they already done.
Well, I mean, it has been done. I mean, sometimes it takes a really good entertainment attorney to be able to track down, because, you know, and that's one of the things that's really been unfortunate for a lot of people, not just here in New Orleans, but for a lot of people who just didn't have the opportunity to be educated about how the industry works. I mean, I played in a band with Ron and Don Bartholomew, and I remember Mr. Dave coming in and telling us things about taking care of our publishing, and this is 25 years ago, I mean, when we were kids. And Mr. Dave would come in and talk about, you know, songs like Ain't That a Shame, thinking that, you know, I can write another one tomorrow. He didn't realize that that song was going to generate millions of dollars for somebody, you know, so it can be done. I mean, I know Al Johnson finally, after like 35 years, got the rights to Carnival Time back. So it can be done. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of persistence. And it takes finding somebody who can really chase the paper, as they say, the
Right.
paper trail.
And some of my experience has been that, like, some of the local attorneys they have to work with some of the other people in the music business, and they really don't want to piss them off or
It's a balance.
create enemies.
Yeah.
So they rather not touch it, and then it's hard to get someone out of the state to represent you.
I understand completely. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. But I'll be happy to talk to you about it. I mean, I'm working on, right now with a guy, Robert Bigelow, who he does the recordings for Treme, and he wasn't credited on the first soundtrack that was nominated for a Grammy. Even though he did all the work, the people at the record label didn't put his name in it. And he didn't know to go check and make sure before the record was put out. So well, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go back to the witnesses and get them to write letters. But it can be done, but it just takes following the paper trail.
It's got to be worth the money to deal with.
Yeah. In this case, he just wants his Grammy nomination medallion.
Right.
Because it was nominated for for a Grammy, so he would get a nice little certificate and a nice little medallion. You know? So for him, it's worth going through the effort.
Yeah.
Plus, he wants to join the Academy, and he needs the credits to be able to join. So, you know, so he needs to prove that that's him on there. And I know people that can prove it for him, and just we need to go through the steps to get it done.